Well, Phil, you're doing really well on the relevant behaviours.
Thanks.
So there are no worries there. However, I'm a bit concerned about the objectives we set last year. I'm sorry to say, but you don't seem to be quite hitting them.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, let's take this one. Case note completion. Last year we agreed that you'd aim for 100% of case notes to be completed and logged within 5 working days. Now, we haven't managed that, have we?
Well, you're never going to get that, are you? There are always going to be some complicated ones.
I hear what you're saying, but that's what we've got down here. Sorry, Phil, I've got to mark you down on that.
I bet mine are no worse than the others. How many do they get done in 5 days?
I'm sorry, but they are doing better than you.
Oh, much better.
I don't actually have those figures to hand right now. Anyway, these are your objectives that you agreed, and they're not being met.
Oh, hang on. That's going to affect my rating, right?
Well, yes.
I'm sorry, but I don't think this is on. You set these objectives, right?
Yeah, but you agreed to them.
But it isn't realistic, is it? You're asking me to do the impossible.
It's all down here, Phil. I can only go by what's on the paper. A paper which you, incidentally, agreed to.
I'm sorry, I'm not having this. I'm going to take this further. I'm putting in a complaint.
Maybe he's got a point. Perhaps we did set unrealistic objectives. But then again, he agreed to them. He's actually a good worker, a really high performer, but we can't argue with this. I'm cornered. Maybe I should have done things a bit differently last year. Good. Excellent. Right then, let's move on to a few objectives. A couple of challenges to push your performance even higher.
I'm all for that.
Great. Right then, in terms of our business needs, they love their jargon, don't they? In terms of our business needs, let's take a look at case notes completion. You happy with how it is now?
Oh, it could always be better, couldn't it? I think most people seem happy.
According to what I've got down here, case notes completion within 5 days is running at about 63%, which is quite good. But why isn't it 100%?
Well, you're never going to get 100%, are you? There's always going to be someone not as happy as we'd like them to be. Plus, you're going to get delays that are totally beyond our control. Well, it's not always my fault.
Nevertheless, that's where we should be setting our sights. Let's put it down as a target.
Sorry, can I just get this clear? You're putting down 100% caseload completion as one of my objectives.
You said you wanted a challenge, Phil.
And I do, but I want a challenge that's realistic. I don't want to be sitting here in 12 months' time telling you I've not been able to meet my objectives. On top of that, I've got my personal rating to think about.
All right, that's a fair point. So you give me a figure.
I don't know. If it's just over 60% at the moment, shall we say 75%?
Tell you what, let's put down 90%. The normal benchmark for the job is 85%, but people with your level of experience and ability have been achieving around 90%.
90?
Hang on, hear me out. Just because we put it down now doesn't mean we're stuck with it. PDR's an ongoing process, right?
So you're telling me we can revise the figure if, through none of my doing, I run into problems?
As long as it's due to circumstances beyond your control. But in the first instance, you get to have a go at that bigger challenge. As long as we both think it's achievable. You never know. You might find we end up raising the figure instead of lowering it.
So no pressure then?
We'll monitor your progress throughout the year. We can schedule regular meetings, say every couple of months, and you can always just pop in and see me anytime you want with any concerns you might have or delays you might encounter. And I could arrange for you to learn some tips from someone like Seb, who managed to move from 62% to 90% last year, if you want.
That would be good.
Let's make our first milestone the 80% figure in, say, 3 months. If you're on target, we'll leave the 90% where it is. If not, we can reset the figure.
Can you do that?
In the right circumstances, yes. As long as you don't suddenly try and change all of your objectives in 51 weeks' time. The point is, none of this is set in stone. If it's not working, we talk about changing it, okay? Hi, Phil. I was just looking at last month's completion rates. Yours has moved to 79%, and every month it's improved. Are you managing okay? Good. I'm glad Seb could help. Maybe you could pass on the tips to someone else another time. Anyway, I just wanted to say well done, and I'll see you next week at our supervision meeting.